Hello. This is a video that is kind of in two parts, because the first half of it is based on... it's me reacting to a video that was posted nearly a month ago now, and so I kind of put it off thinking it was irrelevant. But then when the second thing that's more recent came up, I thought, well, I'll just put the two things together because in a strange kind of way they relate. They're different, but they relate. So I put them together and just tell me what you think. Hello. I recently came across something that is kind of trending on Twitter and across all social media at the moment. I'm reticent to share it to you, I'm a nobody, but, well, have a look at it. Something called the Gay Man's Choir, from San Francisco, of course. Things I do for you lot.
So to those of you out there who are still working against equal rights, we have a message for you.
Equal by whose metric?
You're just frightened. You think that we'll corrupt your kids if our agenda goes unchecked. Funny, just this once, you're correct.
Well, that doesn't sound remotely intimidating, does it? Well, I might be doing them an injustice. Maybe in the next line they'll explain things a bit.
We'll convert your children. Happens bit by bit, quietly and subtly, and you will barely notice it.
Okay. I think that, after this, I'm actually going to not regret looking at that, what's-his-face, that rapper that descended into hell and took the horns off the devil and put them on his head. I suddenly find that less disturbing. I mean, I only saw clips of it, as you know. I was actually looking at the lyrics, but still, the lyrics I'm hearing from this one sounds just a teensy bit sinister, don't you think?
Make him wear pleated pants, we don't care.
Neither do I.
We'll convert your children. We'll make them tolerant and fair.
Again, by whose metric?
You won't approve of where they go at night to protest.
Oh yes, of course. Get children involved in protests. You know, this is something I don't particularly like. I don't like child activists so much. I'm not talking about Greta, that Swedish girl who's all about climate change and how dare you and all the rest. She's in her late teens. She's 18 years old and is legally an adult. Trust me, you can look it up. But it does raise questions. Both sides of the political spectrum do it, of course. If you're British, people of my parents' generation will remember William Hague, the former leader of the Conservative Party, standing up as this sort of teenage midget in an almost robotic voice talking about the values of conservatism. And Corbyn did the same thing with young people and the Green Party. They all do it. I'm sure the Democrats and Republicans in America do the same sort of thing, but this is something else. This is somebody actively talking about getting young people on board. And it's true that young people do care less about who you fall in love with and whatnot, but that's really not what they're singing about, is it?
We'll convert your children, yes we will.
Reaching one and all, there's really no escaping it.
'Cause even Grandma likes RuPaul.
But trust me, my grandma does not like RuPaul. I mean, she's dead, so that does complicate things. If she were alive, she wouldn't either. Either of my grandparents, actually.
And the world's getting kinder.
Gen Z's gayer than Grindr.
Actually, statistically, Generation Z, or Gen Z as it's variously called, is increasingly less interested in sex at all. This is an interesting thing. It's also a bit problematic because it means that the population is somewhat endangered if people don't actually think about growing up and getting married and having children, but that's a side issue. It's factually incorrect what they're saying.
Learn to love, learn to vogue, face your fate.
What did you say there?
Learn to love, learn to vogue, learn to vogue, learn to vogue.
Learn to vote. Okay, so it's political indoctrination, is it?
We're coming for your children. We're coming for them. Your children will care about fairness and justice for others. Your children will work to convert all their sisters and brothers.
I'm kind of wondering who this video is for. I mean, they said that it was satire, but what is it a satire of? I mean, anyone who ever thought that gay people are out to get your children in some way will have their thoughts about this reinforced. Anyone who never thought it will start thinking it. And anyone who, if there are such people who believe that we should snatch children and start indoctrinating them throughout their lives to think a certain way and brainwash them, they'll watch this and think, what are you doing? You've just let the cat out of the bag. Now everyone was going to know what we're out about. Well, there we are. I mean, it's other people have made responses better than I ever could. Here we are. Yeah. That Lil Nas X thing was definitely preferable. All the lyrics, everything, far less sinister than anything this comes out with. And I don't think they intended to be sinister. They just don't understand why people would worry about this with their children because, well, I'm not going to go there. Anyway, I may put this up, I may not, but it's a little something for now. See you later. Hello. This half of the video is a little bit more serious than the last. It's sort of related and sort of isn't, in a roundabout kind of way. We've moved, if you like, from one end of the LGBT, insert half the alphabet here, spectrum to another, possibly. As you'll deduce from the title, part of this video is about an individual named Chris Chan. I really don't know where to start about this because this person has been a presence on the internet since before YouTube, I think. The reason that it relates, by the way, to possibly gay stuff is that the person has claimed variously to be a male lesbian and a trans woman. I don't understand that either, but bear with me. Now, it's not even correct to say that hours has been spent obsessing over this life. There are people on YouTube who, if you added up all of the minutes and hours together, you'd be talking about days, weeks, months, possibly years worth of contact obsessing over this person's life. There's a number of reasons for that, because this person is an autistic, an anime fan, a comic book geek, a figurine collector, a redneck Southern American. And now, as I say, there's the whole gender confusion thing has been put in there as well more recently. Basically, every conceivable meme, everything that people get bullied for on the internet, this person is in a great mass of confusion. Because so much time has been spent on this person, I'm not going to give their full biography. But the reason this person is trending is because, well, have a listen to this. Yeah, you heard correctly. This person appears to have admitted to having a sexual liaison with his mother when she was not in a fit state to consent, and has therefore been arrested. All the usual expected people have pounced on the fact that people are referring to her as a he, because obviously not noting the fact that Christian has become Christine is the worst part of this story, isn't it? Recognising that a possible sex offender is male is really the worst insult, the worst thing you could call a person, isn't it? And there are really several reasons that I wanted to switch this thing on and talk about this, because, well, there are two reasons, really. One is that it has been surmised by a number of people that the reason that he or she didn't know it was wrong to do inappropriate stuff with his mother with dementia is the fact that, as aforesaid, this person is autistic. And I've noticed a worrying trend, actually, amongst a lot of people. I've seen it with school shooters, I've seen it with terrorists. It used to always be, oh, this person, they did it because of a breakup in the family. They did it because their father beat them. Basically, they'll blame anything other than the weapon that the perpetrator was using, the drugs he was taking, or most importantly, even than those two things, actually, the ideology for which he was fighting, the motive, in other words. They're doing it with autism now, and so I suppose the first thing to say, in the same way that a lot of people who are either lesbian or trans women are sort of switching on the camera and saying, look, we don't claim this person, a part of me wanted to switch this on and say, listen, if you are one of those viewers who is afraid of autistic people, then I ought to say as an autistic, first of all, I promise I won't rape you. And secondly, if you're a dementia patient who has a fuzzy memory, then I promise you that I didn't rape you. But really, that's not the only reason, because it's not just a question of I don't want to claim this person. I think there's something deeper is going on here. And the reason I say this is because long before these revelations, these sexual revelations were brought about, this person's life was a tragedy. As I say, hours, days, weeks, years worth of his life, or her life, was documented all over the internet. I mentioned before that he was a comic book geek. He actually wrote his own comics with a character named Sonichu, who was a hybrid of Sonic the Hedgehog and Pikachu. Yes, I know, original, isn't it? But somebody has to sort of make Nintendo meet Sega at some point. And people trolled him because they didn't like the content, and then bit by bit they began to prank call this person. Indeed, the only reason that this revelation about this person's mother came about is because someone was trolling him or her. But other people tried to frame him for paedophilia, which he didn't do. Other people tried to trick him into doing stuff. It was a tragedy. And now, as I say, at long last, this person does appear to have done something inappropriate, just with the complete opposite of a child. But I want to just take a step back from the hysteria and so on, the need to condemn him and distance myself from him. And the reason I say this is because I saw an interview with this person, Count Dankula it was, having an interview with Chris Chan, during which time this person claimed that not only was the comic book universe that he created a real place, but that he was part Sonichu, and that you could get to the land of My Little Pony merely by meditating and astral projecting yourself there. And that's just within the first 7 or 8 minutes of the interview. That's not autism. I'm sorry, but it simply is not. I mean, many of us that are on the spectrum went through a phase of not realising what was on TV wasn't actually real. Many of us used to dream stuff when we were children and not realise that it didn't happen in real life. The person is nearly 40 years old. There's something else going on here. Now, there are two possibilities, I think, in this. One is that this person is simultaneously the best and worst troll ever on the internet. The best troll, because if he's managed to put this persona, including the trans stuff, on for so many years, the trans stuff is more of a recent thing that he's claimed to be over the years, but if he's really managed to take on all these personas and fool loads of people into believing that he's really this deluded when he's not, up to and including the whole stuff about believing that his comic book and My Little Pony is real, then he's the best. But at the same time, if he's not able to recognise when he's being trolled, then he's also the worst. But there's also the possibility that as a result of whatever other ailment, aside from autism, this person has that causes him to believe that in all these deluded things, that he actually did not. He's been charged with incest at this point because of what he's claimed to have done. But it's possible that it all happened in his own head, or her own head. Not me, which isn't to say that he doesn't need help. He does, but I suppose what I'm really saying is we need to take a step back, because the internet was so ridiculous with this person, disproportionate to whatever else they were doing. Because as something of a geek, I wouldn't want to have been harassed in that way. This is a person that doesn't learn from mistakes, not a person that seems to, this much is autistic, not seeming to learn from certain things. There are a lot of people on the spectrum that can't lie. Not all, and many of them become compulsive liars, but there are many others who, because of a lack of comprehension about how other people's minds work, don't realise when they're being deceived themselves. And that's very much Chan. And so I half wonder whether all this hastiness to pile on this character is stemming from the same thing. Although they've been charged, will allow presumption of innocence to prevail until it gets to court and so on. I know it'll be difficult in court because the mother that he allegedly violated will have to testify, and if she's got dementia it'll be kind of hard. But I think we need to look at this very thoroughly. This whole thing that I've made, this mess of a video made of 2 videos, is really a cautionary tale of, first of all, deliberate predators and unconscious predators. In particular, the first lot, the whole acting of "will convert your children" thing, that they don't mean to be predatory, I'm sure, but it's how it comes across. And this second person, because of whatever mental afflictions they have, didn't see anything wrong with appearing to admit to violating a dementia patient. But it's also, in particular, the case of Chris Chan, a cautionary tale about what happens when we allow the world as it is, the world online, and the world that exists in our own heads to become somehow malleable or interchangeable. And that's my main reason of switching this one, quite aside from distancing myself. It also fills in some time. So, I'm sorry if it appears too grim, I'm sorry if you're having to reach for a sick basin, but I think that although it's hard to call this a YouTube community anymore because it's so big, I think that as a community it also behooves us to be responsible in how we report things and how we look at things as well. I might, one of these days, if the person is charged, report on that, but I think it's the moral lesson that I wanted to grasp in this. Hopefully I'll have a more light-hearted video coming up soon. In fact, I know I shall, and a few more recipe ones. Thanks very much. Hope you, well, I don't hope you enjoyed this video, you won't have, but hope you are in good health. That's all for now. Thanks very much. Ta-ta.